apparently there's some show called Jag. I did not know growing up that it was on. I think it looks like late 90s maybe, or maybe 80s, I'm not sure. So, I'm using my phone, so I can't. But what it says is incredibly important in a life that I'm not a part of, and I haven't watched the show, so I really haven't structuralized this screen set. But again, I'm losing mobility in my legs, so I'm using every reference you throw at me at this point. Yeah, Birmingham, they made one turn around and go back. It wasn't supposed to be in flight the last time I checked when things were working.
Needs you, sir. You and the Admiral will be flown to the Chinese airbase at Fuzhou, where you will confer with the General Xinhua Chen.
On the day in question, the pilot of your MiG flew directly at our aircraft and took off 4 feet of its right wing. Now, where in that are we at fault?
Lieutenant, I need you to do me a favor.
Name it, sir. That's Lieutenant Lee's MiG on her runway in Manchuria. You covered up the fact that Lieutenant Lee survived the incident.
I will release the airmen.
And the EP-3?
That I will keep.
A few more days, we're going to have to reinvent all of our hardware and rewrite every one of our damn codes.
We apologize and they keep our plane?
Rewrite all of the code.
This is Birmingham 2-5. We're on our way home.
I got him. Birmingham 2-5, I've got you on radar. We'll escort you home. Birmingham strike. This is Birmingham 4-3. We are holding hands with the Kai.
Stay tight, Stonewall.
Cranberry, you have fluid straining from your left fuel dump vent. Need you to return to Birmingham immediately.
We'll go, Stonewall.
Good night, Greyhound.
Careful, we just lost our other fighter escort.
Birmingham 2-5, we do not hold him on our radar.
Lost your fighter.
Whatever it is, I got a bad feeling.
I'm living out that feeling. Don't know why. But if you don't get caught up in like the suspense of it all, the key-op word there in the key-op sentence for cognitive ability is we lost our something or other, and we are completely rewiring the script within 2 days. That actually happened, except most of the humans were paused by radiology department, and it was put into some kind of mainframe, and then when the humanity booted back up, somehow I was thrown into Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361, in a viral assortment. For me, when I woke up, gotta remember, if you have one glass ball, this is what glass looks like. I'm not on Air Force, this is actually, hold on. I'm not on Air Force Base, anything developed. So for me, when this breaks, it goes in the refuse or the garbage or the trash. It does not go to the recycling center, get melted down, and then reused. It's a totally different process and a different state of everything here. So, when I say that glass is breaking, if I have one solid, this being glass, if right over my fly zone looks like this, it literally looks like someone took a pressure point and a tiny little hammer and went tink, and all of the United States of America went and started cracking. I don't see it so much over Canada. On my mental note, I don't see it over Canada. I don't see it over Mexico. I don't see it on the two club feet. I mean, the club feet have a little bit, but right over the sweet spot dead zone is the United States of America, for where the glass is starting to shatter and it's pressurized. Looks like this. It's pressurized, and the more you push people onto the ground, the more pressure goes down, the more cars you put in, the more junk you deliver to the United States of America, the heavier the land is. The heavier the land is and the displacement, the heavier the push on the bubble up top, and it's already starting to crack in tiny little pieces of glass and tiny little assortments of pressure points. I know, like, everybody's like, you're like, okay, so now tell me, human, why are the country lines divided this way on your atlas or on your map? Like, you were given a globe or some kind of flat map. I don't know, like, the children just sit in school and stare at it, but don't really study it. At least that's what the pubic kids did in my area, Bayside Station, New York, and Cold Spring Harbor, New York was even worse. So now, you're like, so why are there states? Why are there countries? How did they get their shapes and things? I have not met a human who knows. Not one. So now, let's just say if they paused time, theoretically, and then there was some superscript, this is what it would sound like.
You covered up the fact that Lieutenant Lee survived the incident.
I will release the airmen.
And the EP3?
That I will keep.
In a few more days, we're going to have to reinvent all of our hardware and rewrite every one of our damn codes.
We apologize and they keep our plane?
Is that what's going on over in Afghan airport? I'm just curious, because they're fighting over what they refer to here as a Greyhound super bus. It says Air Force on the side of it. In New York, the Occidental Sierra, they don't have the same type of airplanes. They have what I refer to as commercial grade airplanes, which just flies traffickers all over the place. You have one pilot, one co-pilot, you have a small crew, and then it's I don't know how many seats they sell. Let's see, they are a Boeing, Boeing, like 747. There's a 727. I'm not really into aviation because I really don't like the children of the heathen bunch and what they're allowing. They're just different fish and they don't want to listen. They're having temper tantrums, so I don't really like the spoiled shitbags. Like, they're kind of spoiled. I'm the lonely only spoiled, with no money, no gift, no anything. So that's how I entered. Let's think about this. I told Lynn and Lou last night at dinner. I was like, so Lynn, right? Yeah, hitting that retirement. So while you were working at the bank, doing really nothing other than servicing other clients, answering phones, typing on a computer all day, being totally useless in function, wasting your entire youth and life, but having a steady paycheck to support Lou, I was like, you realize that bank that you were working for in that stock market was just a gigantic money laundering facility. I was like, that fed into the next generation of human trafficking and sex trafficking, which they call the travel industry and leisure. Travel and leisure sounds so wonderful. Except, Lynn, here's the thing. They were traveling and allowing leisure to all of the children that purposely moved and circumvented your daughter to make sure she didn't know anything that was going on. They got themselves bachelor's, master's, PhDs, fellowships, missions, churchly things. They did all sorts of things dancing around the issue while you were working your ass off in some money laundering facility that you don't even call that. You call it banking. Just so they could all afford themselves a lifestyle of human and sex trafficking that they call leisure and travel. Right, we call it lazy and fucking useless. To call it like it is. I mean, they're shipping shit into the United States, and from my calculations on anything official, here's my official, ready? Globe Master. It looks like the glass on my side, especially over my state and everything from my Sierra Oriental position within the United States of America to going Sierra Madre towards Sierra Occidental in that motion, in that sigma direction. It's looking like the glass. I'm in danger zone over here. And they're just delivering heavy cars, heavy trucks, they're heavy building materials. They're just pushing on the displacement. It's like being in a landmine when you step on the trigger and you're like, and in the movies, they step on the trigger and they're like, uh-oh, they did it in Kingsman. And then all of a sudden when you take your foot off, it goes, psh. Right, okay, so it's something like that, because they keep delivering heavy shit into Manhattan and the surrounding areas in my New York State, the downstate anyway, which pushes on sea level and pushes on tectonic pressure points, which I know nobody thinks of, but then it also displaces by air volume and by I'm in rationale. Oh, I was thinking about this the other night. I'm like, right, I'm in rational math. So there's ration and rationale. So I'm in the epicenter of ratio and rationale, where the ratios and rationale are totally off. I'm like, Lewis, listen to me. He's like, you had said you were so blessed. I'm like, I want you to take that, like, shitbag, like, excited about what I did in my life, Lou. I was like, it's not the same opportunity. Here's the thing. I go to work at the bank, at the floor of the bank, to figure out how they're running the bank for an education. I get paid $28,000 at Merrill to start, or I got paid $38,000 at Chase. 2 different banks. I tried. Just to have a steady paycheck. And so I could afford my house. I was like, that's what I get for the same hours and effort put in. But international kids are getting $1 million sign-on bonuses to the same company. Jamie Dimon's got millions of dollars in salary. Whatever the fuck he does for a living, nothing. I was like, and I'm getting paid $38,000. And here's the thing, in New York, the money mechanics don't work. I can't afford, here's what lifestyle looks like. It's a house, it's food, it's running the house, and it's a car or some form of transportation. On $38,000 or $28,000, I could not run a house, feed myself, clothe myself, and have children. I just couldn't. So but yet the $1 million kids were doing all sorts of things. So now the money mechanics weren't working. I'm like, and more importantly, I belong to the irrational. See, like in rational math, 1 + 1 always equals 2. It's arithmetic. It always equals 2. There is no shadow of a doubt. 1 + 1 = 2. It's rational arithmetic. Got it. I come from a place far, far away, where I belong, in irrational math, where 1 + 1 sometimes equals an irrational figure. Because when you have a man and a woman and you add that one and that one, sometimes you get a carbon copy, and sometimes the woman's able to have carbon copies at some unknown figure, number, numeric, and it becomes an irrational set of circumstances. So that's the world I come from and was sent to this hellhole in 1 + 1 in arithmetic always equals 2. And I don't like it here at all. And none of the 1 + 1 = 2 kids of arithmetic, they're not of IQ. That works. Here's the other scary thing. I noticed there's some fight for capital, but capital of the state, I'm in the dead zone, I'm in the broken airfield, or the airstrike where the glass is breaking, which is the environmental cue, and they are trying to get some kind of merit badge or some kind of seat somehow in their disgusting 2 club feet being Latin America and South and Africa, and then Australia having a little, but I don't even really see Australia unless at all. I see some Koreans, that's about it. So, and they're not Japanese, so we're staying off of that one. And the other thing is that when the land mass up here, what I call cyber to Iberia, right? We were working on that issue with braking and tectonic displacement when Western Europe started having issues breaking out, and then it's steadily just getting worse. It just is. And now I've got in the stupid fucking shitbag region of the United States of America, they're forcefully moving themselves in swarm mentality from unbeknownst to me regions into into big metropolis cities. They're taking over the police, the government, and the EMS from what I can visually, coptically see within NYPD of what they have displayed on the walls, not what they have displayed on the media. And now they're fighting for rearranging the capital from not being up in Albany, since it's so far away where Cuomo was, but they want to rearrange a downstate capital because wherever theoretically the capital is, that's where the money is, and that's where, right. Okay, well, New York City, Brooklyn, New York City, I saw a whole bunch of things up on being up for getting the honor of capital. They don't win. They have not run this. They do not have a fortified city. They're not playing the game according to the safety rules. They're playing dangerous games, wasting and counting down clocks. They're having gigantic teams carted off for management and replaced with the African and the South American clubman teams, and they're installing everything wrong and everything more dangerous. Meanwhile, I've got the glass breaking just above the atmosphere in other more serious, irrational places. And nobody seems to care or want to listen. That's what this whole Eric Adams with the really dark skin. He looks like Aiden Alden, who lived upstairs, and Zidane. It's that color that wants to now be mayor and win some Democratic ticket. I can't have the city run this way. Boston's down. Washington's down. I've got so many dead zone cities, and I don't have any incoming GQ other than what I'm able to visually recon and then throw back out into the atmosphere myself as IQ. It's a negative feedback loop to myself just for documentation purposes because I'm losing my legs. I'm losing my mobility in my physicality. Like my body is starting to break down because of the breaking glass situation going on and the mismanagement of use, resource, and tools that were sent, and the rearrangement of all the chairs. It's like musical chairs. And then people just rearranging the chairs at will in dangerous places, and nobody knows the difference when they arrive on the day of installment. No, somebody knows. I mean, I can see it fucking clear as day. But it's a problem. Big Greyhound, Air Force, where the Afghans in countrymen elsewhere, where the president fled, is what they're saying on the media. I'm like, I'm Zodia. It's Z-O and it's Dia, D-I-A. That's what I am in Hut 6, H-U-T 6, S-I-X. That's German code. So, I mean, I'm more German than I am Russian, but I always say that my Germans are my beautiful Russians because, when I was in Italy, in this life frame, Centurion, Century 19, year 78, I went for my 18th birthday. My grandfather had died. Lewis went over there for some whatever. Had left us some money, or left Lou money. And he was settling the house estate and whatever. We went over there, and everybody in the mountains looked whiter than I am right now. More like the color difference of my, this color, but white, really milky white. That's what they all look like. And all of a sudden, I'm outside, and I'm speaking to Angela Dean, and I'm waiting, my cousin, who's also really white, and I'm waiting for Kenneth and Claudia Dean, excuse me, and all of a sudden, two really dark skin, like Eric Adams, or like Alden and Zidane from upstairs in Bayside, kids run up to me. Maybe they were Guyanan, I don't know, maybe they were Venezuelan, maybe they were Central Mexico, I have no idea. They run up to me, two teenage boys, and they start speaking what they said. I'm like, I speak English only. I said, if you slow down, I was like, I'll listen for your, is that Italian? I don't even know what you're speaking. But they didn't speak English, they said. And so they kept talking, and they said that, and I'm like, I can't even understand you. I was like, and then something, Angela said, I think they said that they're Italian. And I'm like, from where? What part of Italy do people like that? I mean, that's my first reaction. I'm in my father's hometown. They all look like my father. They look like kissing cousins. Everything in Alonso and in the Alpini, we look Stellapini. That's the native flower. The two things standing in front of me looked like, I have no idea. What ship did you jump off of? And they kept saying that they were Italian, and I'm like, if you say so, but I don't think so. You're not our Italian. But that's what's happening, is that you give one identity out, and then same thing with the Greek. Same thing with the Turkish. We have family agreement. We write family agreement. We know at family who we are, and that we are all this milky, weird, and we all look like semi the same, with maybe the nose is a little off, or but for the most part, we all look the same. And we're like a doppelgang. And then all of a sudden, you got people coming up, and they're in the movies and trying to media over. And I'm like, that's what they're passing off as Italian now? Well, that was the old Greek. It used to be Greek and Greek, right? And then all of a sudden, they changed the color of Greek, and you're like, whoa, we need a new identity. Right, let's go with the Italian, sexy leg Italian. Great, okay. Then we go sexy leg Italian, then all of a sudden, the kiddos that were like, wait, but we just got to be Greek. We're like, never Greek, but right, okay. And then they want to be Italians, and you're like, it's like a trailing nightmare. They think they're trailblazers. Yeah, you sure fucking are. You keep burning everything down and ruining everything, making things more difficult and worse. Anywho, so now I've got, so that's why I stay out of the Italian closet. I'm like, nope. I got handsome German, because I never seen anything that dark up that north. And then I got beautiful Russians. We're just, this day and age, I'm the first and the last known Russian. That's it. Beautiful Russia. Looks like me. Because I'm not going to, like, sexy leg Italian trying to be taken over by the not us and trailblazing, like, burning my boot. Do you see the other options? You want to walk on something that looks that sexy? Or how about this sexy? Those do not look like sexy women legs. They look like clodhoppers, is what they look like. Just saying. So anyway, I like the toe, the heel, and the delta triangle. For one sexy leg and foot, I really don't want to go with the two other options that are really difficult to walk on and make everything more complicated. It's too big of a project, it's too big of an understanding, it's too big of an understate, and it is causing a dead zone to start to crackle in glass, which is the most important in cybersecurity. An atmospheric atonement. I have to think about this for wiring and whatnot. I was on a point and then I lost it, which keeps happening. Alright, I'm gonna let that go for now. Alright, so it's Nicole Cattaruzza. It's star 1978, star 8378. I did not have the same problem in Ireland, by the way. I did not see one non-family member in England or Ireland. And if I did, they weren't pointed out, so they don't count for the reasons that I'm making the mention, as opposed to Italy. Because in Italy, those two things that came up to me in my father's hometown, claiming to be Italian, which I knew they weren't, those two things are, like, purposely placed there. And I don't know why my father's hometown would be in on it. I'm like, I am never allowing them into cybersecurity, for sure. Like, no, you are not in charge of my future. No, we don't have a good beginning. Let's just put it that way. Oh, and by the way, it's the same color and look as what drew over Tom's house next door to Judith. When I woke up from that nap and we walked outside and then we called and reported it, whatever that time warp and airbender moment was that we got caught smack in the middle of, and it became an example at the Air Force, in Quiet Area Air Force, that was, it looked very specifically Guyanese. I'm not gonna lie. That's what's presented itself as Guyanese, but even that word becomes a problem, which is why I say the word guy, just across the board, because it has a forbidden letter in it, and it is just 3 letters for Hut 6 to Deep Space Nine. Other than that, I'm fine. I'm losing my legs, though. My legs are not matrixly moving properly, and it is really painful between the calcaneus and that vertical region, and it's everything, all the pressure and all the movement is heating up my knee joint, because the lines of symmetry have been cut and are not lighting up on track charting for healthy, normal movement the proper way. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.